Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS Challengers League playoffs. I'm Grapes, joined by Magical and Beatdown Boulevard. We had a really nice interview with Zazel right there after C9 Challengers took a pretty convincing win off of CLG Faith. I mean, really nice guy to talk to, and of course, looking like one of the best players in this entire league.
No shout outs to coaches, though.
No.
Only when they ask. That's the big thing.
No. It's when they ask, you don't give it to them.
Exactly. Because literally, I mean, you look over at Fear, they shout out their coaches all the time. I bet they didn't ask.
It's the most Chad move ever because the coach asked, "Hey, can you give me a shout out?" He's like, "No, I will actually shout out everybody except for you." So
even on the broadcast.
Yeah, we got a shout out from Zazel. That felt really nice.
Dude, when you said that, I don't know if you heard me, Grace, but I said, "Let's go."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Of course, C9 will be moving on, facing off against the winner of Wildcard versus TL Challengers, which is happening over on Challengers League a little bit later today. But first, before that, as we head on into our next series, this is one, Magical, I know you were particularly excited about. It's AOE Gold against Golden Guardians.
I think this one's going to be a really shocking one because you look at the 12th seed for AOE, have had some hiccups during the regular season, but I actually think this is going to be a really close series. I think that Guardian Challengers and AOE. There's a good possibility we have this go a 3-game series. I mean, we could also make a brief mention of the Gomsu playoff stuff, but that's a whole other thing. I just think that on paper, both teams are picking up on how they started off the season. Like Golden Guardians is the more obvious one, since they were in the bottom half of the standings, then ended up getting to the 5th seed, while AOE have had some hiccups here and there, but we're looking a lot stronger towards the tail end.
I'm going to be real with you, Alex and Grapes. This series is going to go one of two ways. It's going to be tight as all hell. Game 3, 35, 40-minute bangers every game, or GGC is going to spank AOE. I fear there is no in-between. I am praying for option 1, because I want a 3-game, 45-minute per game banger. I don't know about you guys. Yeah, exactly.
It always seems to happen when we're watching AOE Gold play, but let's take a look at the rosters here for this second series. We're going to start off with Golden Guardians, as they were our higher seed. They struggled a little bit in week 1, partly potentially due to Young playing in LCS, getting that sub opportunity, but they've really come together, especially around some of these newer young carries that they have.
This is a team we got to give, I think, haven't been giving a lot of respect to, especially until these last couple of weeks, because this is a team where they're super underrated. Like they had a top place finish. They have been so incredible splitting series against some top teams like Cloud9, CLG, things like that, where they've had such good performances overall, and especially towards the back half of the split, they have looked so incredible and convincing.
And on the other side is AOE Gold. Got a lot of really well-known players, especially from those who have been following the Proving Ground Circuit qualifiers in the past couple of years. But Magical, I mean, this team was intended to be one of the best amateur teams, or provisional teams, sorry, that we had here in the NACL. And they're looking like they're making their strides at the right time.
Right. I mean, ignore some of their wacky drafts that they've had with the Rumble, the Lissandra, stuff like that. When they had the typical drafts, they've looked really good. I mean, it's nice to see because Winnie, Link, Skytech, all from the University of Western Ontario as well. Very cool. So they've gotten a lot of history, a lot of story. They've had that synergy going in. It's just how they can merge with Gomsu and Dark, right? How they can look to play with these members. And now we're starting to see that synergy starting to come through.
Yeah, Winnie, Link, Skytech all played on Western Ontario, as you mentioned, but they also all played on AOE last split. And guess who was with them? It was Young, the mid laner for Golden Guardians, now trying to, take down some of his old teammates in his old organization.
It's an exciting matchup for that reason, on top of many others. And Young's a player who, watching him last year on this roster, especially during Proving Grounds, we're like, okay, this dude's pretty nuts. And we got excited when he got the call onto Golden Guardians. And I think he has impressed non-stop. Even in his time in LCS, we're sure they lost the games, but he performed admirably. He even talks about how that confidence, the confidence he gained from playing there on the LCS.
Yeah, and you can see that last clip right there as well, was playing on 100 Thieves Next in 2021 with Gomsu. So basically everybody except Darkwings, which, makes sense because they play the same position, has played with Young at some point in the past couple of years. So this is a real revenge tour, so to speak, for this player. But there's, of course, also some history with Golden Guardians. This team played against AOE a little bit earlier in the season, as they all did, and it was a really exciting series.
See, you just said it's a revenge tour for Young. I feel like it's the other way around. He's the one who got promoted, so it's the rest of the team being like, hey, we want to get those spots too. Let's take down our old teammate and prove that we deserve to get those slots as well. But like you said, we got to look back to the last time that these two teams faced off against each other, because when you look at how AOE have played, like, they have very fun games, especially early into the season. Think about a lot of the backdoor wins they got. But Golden Guardians were also a team at the very beginning of the season that were, they were hit or miss. They weren't doing so great. Sure, if you look at the scoreboard here, like, look at the series, they were 4-4. But it wasn't like they were performing to the level we ended up seeing at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like, Golden Guardians, I mean, both teams have leveled up, but Golden Guardians in particular really turned things up towards the back half of this split here in spring, and that's why we were talking about not giving them enough props. Really, my only question about Golden Guardians is, are they consistent enough? Because they've had some flubs, some not so great performances, but the point is, we want to see that consistency come out more into playoffs. And the interesting thing about this matchup is also how impactful their supports are and how they make calls and try to team fight is for me.
Yeah, Prismal and SkyTech have been pretty standout players for both of these teams. One, because they've been really good, and two, because SkyTech specifically has been cooking down there in the bottom lane. Look at the champ pool share. Of course, 8 champions are shared between them. Prismal has 3 uniques on his own. SkyTech has 8 unique champions that Prismal has not played.
Yeah. He's been trying everything, right? He's really gone to the science lab with me. He's taking my lessons. Right. And just like, all right, let's figure out what we can make work.
I knew you were involved in this. But yeah,
I like to take credit.
Yeah, it has been some interesting stuff there from SkyTech. I mean, both these players are really big parts of how teams team fight. We talk about Winnie being the voice for the team, but SkyTech, through the standard picks and some of the less standard picks, are a big part of how these engages go for the side of AOE. And that it was interesting to highlight this champ pool because, I mean, sometimes we like what SkyTech's cooking, and sometimes, the Rumble and the maybe the Lissandra, I ask, why did we let him cook?
When you look at the Leaguepedia, like, all the champions that have, like, just one game just are all the 0-1. Just like the Lissandra 0-1, the Rumble 0-1. I think the Tarek is 0-1 as well. They try. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I know he was well known for his Vi support, actually, just
that was
last
so
summer.
Cool.
I hope we see that again.
I need it back.
And also, last thing before I head myself out is that I know that Lynx is a really good Senna player, and this patch is really good with Senna. I am hoping for some magic down there. Let's see if we get it. It is Golden Guardians Challengers versus AOE Gold. Magical beatdown. Draft is all yours.
Thank you, Grapes. We'll see you for our halftime or third time show. It depends on how the series ends up unfolding. If it's true that we get case A that you were talking about, Beat, I'd be very happy with that. Very close games. Because I'll be honest, I've had a lot of slams and a lot of one-sided affairs for the past 4 or 5 weeks of casting LCS Challengers League.
There you go.
I'm really hoping that we get into this one. See, I keep wanting to say NACL just because Salt. It's just stuck in my mind. But let's get into this game. Right, because you talk. Oh, never mind. I was gonna bring up Senna.
They banned it from Winnie, to be fair.
Yeah, they banned it from Winnie, but I was gonna bring up Senna, and then possibly having Vi as a flex pick between Winnie and SkyTech. But that kind of defeats the point that I was bringing up.
Yeah. The only thing really that stands out to me is the Zeri ban, because sometimes it gets banned away from Golden Guardians, but it is Array's most played champion by a very large margin. He has 16 games on the pick, and his second most played is 4 games. Want to guess who it was, Magical? What champion?
Lucian.
Yes!
I know because you told me beforehand.
Oh, I was so proud of you, too. You ruined it, man. You could have just lied to me. I would have thought you did it.
I'd rather be honest with you, Pete.
You know what? I respect that, even though it hurts.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
You'd rather be honest with me, but then you let me believe for a quick second that, oh, wow, you look at these stats, too. Good stuff.
I didn't let you believe. I was going to tell you right away anyways.
Okay, fair enough.
I do look at the stats, too, but that was something that you had explicitly said, so that's the only reason I was able to get it so fast. But talking about this draft, you talked about the Zeri. Looking at LeBlanc, we saw last game that piloted well, especially early into the game. It'd be very difficult to deal with. But this is interesting. Sejuani still picked pretty early by Golden Guardians. The flexibility the champion has, because that can easily be for concept as well. The Senna is really good. I was kind of looking at it, why I'm surprised to see that was taken over Senna.
Right. I mean, we haven't seen we haven't seen any Senna from Array. I mean, going back last year, I don't recall
Prismal.
off the top of my head.
I was thinking Prismal.
Maybe. But the idea there, getting the Sejuani is, I think, really important because you have so many... We're in this meta, even with the jungle changes. We just switched to 13-5. There's very little time for these teams to... They only had a couple of days, really, to practice, get an idea of what the patch is all about. So even though we hinted at farming junglers making a comeback, I mean, what was good on 13-4, things like the Lee Sin, Viego, the Sejuani are still going to be super high priority for these teams.
This is why
I mean, what else is
up,
there?
Well, I love blind Cho'Gath. I'm with Cubby on this hype train about Cho'Gath just because he's very powerful right now. But I like this because with Senna, the flexibility it provides. You can easily throw that into the bot lane, but with an Aphelios Thresh now showing, to me, this indicates, just send that Cho'Gath top lane instead. Give it to Gamsu. Let's get something a little bit better at dealing with both Aphelios and Thresh.
It is tough. It is true. They could use that last pick there for AoE to set that one up. Either way, Aphelios Thresh, really strong laning duo at the moment. So already, unless like you get some ridiculous Tetris here with this draft from AoE, it's just going to end up being a bot favored, rather Array and Prismal favored matchup. And that Viego I was highlighting is going to come through for Winnie. I haven't seen him play very much of the champ, but the fact that you have that ability to start these fights off with that Spectral Maw, the CC in your kit, especially early, is so important for a player like him, who, it's him and Skytech, who start out a lot of their skirmishes, a lot of their team fights. It's always what they're able to set up with.
You can disagree with me, but I feel like early game Viego is kind of like a budget pie. You get these early...
It's better.
You think it's better? Okay. Well, I can
your cooldowns on Vi are so high. That's the thing I don't like.
The reason why I was bringing it up is just the early game plays that you can make on Viego, even though he's something that can't scale well into the game. It's about having something that Winnie can use to play aggressively early, because we look at this jungler and just his history as a player. He always will look for these risky plays really early into games, trying to get his lanes ahead. Sometimes, you know, it bites him in the butt, and then he's just in the hole and can never claw his way back out of it. Other times, it makes it so that they can snowball these leads and absolutely trounce competition that they probably, if it hadn't been for those plays, shouldn't have beat.
Yeah, now we're seeing some of these last couple bans come through. I mean, the Lissandra is an interesting one. Makes me wonder if we're seeing an assassin pick come through for Young. He's been playing a lot of Akali. Aurelia is also one. We're lacking in magic damage for Golden Guardian side. So unless they go for like a Gwen or something on the top side for
keep in mind, Sejuani is still flex. Could be top lane for concept.
True. Yeah, I mean, but then if we go AP jungler, we'll see. I'm not sold on that one yet, but the pick here is what I'm interested in for AoE. Like, are you going to pick for... You're almost certainly rather going to pick for Gamsu and save that last pick for Darkwings.
Okay, now hear me out. This might be a wild one. What if Rosethorn picks Fiddlesticks here?
Actually,
I know.
I know. All right.
No, you see.
I'm cool. I'm cool with Fiddlesticks right now, but we haven't seen it. But you know,
we haven't seen it. But I just kind of was looking at this draft and like, kind of fits in. It kind of works out, and we get that Victor locked in. That is definitely going to be, you know, for Darkwing, something that he's piloted very well. But I'm still looking at what they might want to do for both Rosethorn and Young to give them a little bit of that extra foot up on the competition.
Right. I mean, you have the Sejuani on the team. The melee for Young makes a lot of sense. Yeah, the melee is nice because you can apply the passive and things like that. And if we look on this side too, I mean, Akali is good. It's fine into Victor. You have a lot of targets who you can assassinate. So that's why I was kind of expecting this pick come through for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, now that kind of knocks down a peg, the Fiddlesticks pick that I was talking about.
I mean, yeah, it's not
more likely. You know? The Scion, because they're expecting that Cho'Gath is going to be bot lane. It's going to be the Senna Cho'Gath. But I would love to see AoE throw them a curveball. Their hovering set, which actually still pairs very well with Senna. Send that Cho'Gath into the top lane. Drundle, very similar. They're showing a lot of these picks that can go very well with pairing with the Senna.
So I'll wait. Oh, okay, so it's the Kenj. I like the pivot because it's a good matchup for Cho'Gath. going into something like the Scion. It's great,
Exactly.
in fact. So getting something like the Kench, it's the same thing where you have that kind of safety, and especially even more so in the later parts of the game. When you have the Devour post level 6, you're going to be able to protect your AD carry in links in these team fights, and that's going to be super important when you're playing into Array. You have a lot of burst damage with things like that Moonlight Vigil. You have Young with the Akali when you're throwing in the perfect execution. It's a good pick.
It's funny, I'm looking at this composition drafted by AOE, and I'm not even looking at Lynx as being truly the 80 marksman for the team. I'm looking more towards Winnie, because this seems like a perfect game to transition over into maybe a Kraken Slayer gameplay out of Viego, just because you do have kind of low damage elsewhere on the map, and you have to get through something like a Scion, like I said, Juani, and usually Senna doesn't cut it.
I mean, it will in time.
Eventually, yes. But here we go, Pete. We'll find out whether or not I'm going to be right, because, sometimes the broken clock is right twice a day. But okay, Golden Guardian Challengers. He will be spotted out. Dark Wings, he booked it straight down mid and saw the shenaniganeries that were being plotted by Golden Guardians Challengers.
We see Winnie, of course, has to back up as a result. I mean, looking at what the teams have gotten for themselves here, Golden Guardians, they have this comp where you're going to have a lot of control, especially on this bottom side of the map early on. You're going to be free to stack dragons, play for your Aphelios, get this lead on Array, who's been having a pretty good split so far. We talked about how last split, I remember during Proving Ground Summer, it was rough for people like Array and Concept because of the constant roster shifts coming through here, and we all hope they got another chance. They got that chance, and it's been looking good.
No one's given AOE any credit here. Come on, where's the spam for AOE?
Why don't you go in the chat? Maybe you could type it, Magical. That
I don't go into chat while I'm casting games. It's
so valid. Honestly, I was trying to make a joke, but I respect that.
Yeah, no. I have rules for myself. It's mostly because then I'll end up just trying to meme chat the whole game. It's more for my own safety because I'll just end up being a meme lord like I am.
Gotcha.
There we go. We're getting some more AOE love. Come on, let's get a little bit more.
Well, chat has essentially made their decision. Of course, if you haven't participated, please type who you think is going to win in chat. But we talked about Golden Guardians. AOE's comp is interesting because, I mean, you're playing for later. You're going to have push as Dark Wings, of course, range into melee. It'd be like that sometimes. It's not as fun for Akali. But my eyes are on Winnie. Again, Winnie, Skytech, the big trigger pulls for this team of AOE Gold. And what's Winnie going to be doing these early levels? You have pretty good wave clear as the Viego, and you're going to have a lot of gank opportunities.
Okay, so this happened last time I casted Prismal when he was playing Thresh. The dude just cannot miss his hooks. Him and Joey, when they get these champions with hooks, they just don't miss.
No, and it's why it's a pretty big deal that this bot lane ends up coming through. The nicest thing about Thresh is the changes to his death sentence cooldown. And I mean, you got Gamsu, you have Skytech, you're throwing it into tanks. Late game, it's going to be on an absurdly low cooldown.
Yeah, right now, Shuriken flip. Dark Wings, bad side of the map to be on. There's no escape from this one. It should be First Blood picked up by Young.
That is the best feeling as an Akali player. Nice gank coming through from Rosethorn. And I mean, Dark Wings.
It was picture perfect. You couldn't ask for anything better.
No, and I mean, no. You saw that ward that he placed on the bottom side. The Raptors. Unfortunately, Rosethorn came from the top end there. And now you have Winnie here, looking for something. He has Gamsu roaming, but I don't think they're actually going to go for an invade. It's just a cover. Like, hey, buddy, I know you want to do this scuttle. I'm here for you.
I mean, Winnie playing around the one side of the map has any sort of prio. Being the Cho'Gath matchup in Scion expected. This is why he has a little bit of liberty to play around mid lane to kind of walk straight through, say, all right, I'm fine here. I know where Rosethorn is because the ward that he had placed down spotted it, that Rosethorn was still by blue buff, then onto Gromp. But now he gets both Scuttle Crabs against Rosethorn.
And that is something. Make it a little easier to avoid ganks. Right? Yeah, like you get a good bit of a lead. Now Winnie has that choice, either recall or your
Top
Grump
lane.
is respawning. Just go ahead and go for that.
Gamsu gets the rupture onto Concept. Looking for that damage. He's able to get a nice silence. He's a pretty beefy boy. If he can use some minions, it might help him out a little bit more, but that's going to be the shield coming in from Concept. Slowed down, tagged, and killed off by Rosethorn.
And that's twice now. 4 minutes. Rosethorn has already had an impact mid and top. That's right, 2 plays. Nothing really for Winnie so far, given what's been available. And that's okay. The point is he has the option to go for these early plays as Viego. You can still play to farm. You can still play to scale. We talked about the gold changes in the jungle. Thing is, though, he's already level 5. And once he gets to that level 6, he will have that opportunity. He will be spotted out on this board. But that first back...
Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but the information is what's important, because stuff like this can happen.
I like that from Prismal. He made sure that he spotted out that Skytech was backing. You could see the ward that was placed down in that brush. And so the moment it was too late for Skytech to cancel the recall is when he engaged onto Lynx. Gets Cleanse out early, which is a perfect area to attack. We've seen 2 of the 3 lanes already attacked by Rosethorn. Now, he just got an easy time. He can play around bot lane after getting this dragon.
Right, and we talk about that pressure. The fact that Lynx was forced to back late because Prismal caught him out, stopped his recall, gave this opportunity before Skytech even gets a chance to look. Dragon is out of the picture, and it means Golden Guardians, they can set their sights on that Rift Herald when it comes up in a couple of minutes. They can easily rotate Array and Prismal towards that top side. We're getting important levels come through for Golden Guardians. Like young level 6 is a big deal. Concept level 6 is a big deal. And this top side, I favor Golden Guardians fighting for a Rift Herald too. They're gonna get it. They should be able to get it for free.
We were talking about that before, you know, the different dichotomies of the team. One that wants to scale a little bit more, get some items under the belt, get level 6 smarts, while the other side can play a bit more aggressively earlier on, as Winnie is making sure to defend the spot lane in case a dive is attempted. With the Rosethorn now channeling the back, should be spotted out on this rotation around ward. So Winnie backs off a little bit. He's in a dangerous spot, and he doesn't realize just how dangerous it could have been.
I mean, he has a ward. He knows. He just he played it nice. Quick, is he gonna fight for it? Okay,
they caught out Array, but Array was able to take the lane from safety.
It's Thresh, baby.
It is Thresh, baby. Always can count on that, but now with 3 members corralled into a tight corridor, and you got level 6 for Young, gets a little bit of damage, dives back in onto Link, but he flashed away, and now he's rooted up underneath the Shroud as they killed off the Catfish first. Everyone else from Golden Guardians, they're waiting to see if they can re-engage. Decide not to.
Yeah, you just walk away. You're happy with this. You get another kill, some assist gold, and oh my god, Prismal.
Prismal, okay.
Wait, Prismal, can we talk?
I respect that play. Nothing comes of it, but I respect it.
I mean, that's just Chad, man. He just walks right in. And the big thing here is we saw earlier when he gets caught out, and it ends up being Golden Guardians who have the pinch. You talked about the corridor, and Young going straight in, keeping 2 people busy. Winnie and Lynx were focusing on the Sakali, while Skytech just gets bullied by the rest of Golden Guardians, and AOE got nothing for it.
One of those situations, too, where Skytech was locked down the entire time, couldn't even flash out if he wanted to. It was an easy kill. Picked up by Golden Guardians. Another play successful out of Rosethorn. Rosethorn, as a jungler, this is something I always love about him, too, is he'll constantly look for these gank plays early on, and up against someone like Winnie, who's very well renowned for being that risky jungler, he'll force the hand of someone he knows that's going to be risky. He'll say, all right, I'll make all these plays. You have to answer me in my game, how I'm playing. I'm not going to play to you.
Well, I will say Winnie has 6 over Rosethorn, and the move from Skytech is coming out first. There's an opportunity for AOE to actually pick up this Rift Herald. It would be so big for them. That's why Rosethorn, you see him slowly starting to back off. Exactly.
Look at where Array is. Array is not even joining. Lynx is already pathed up. If Golden Guardians attempt to fight against this, though, Skytech himself is also pathing back down towards the bot lane. So it looks like neither team will get the objective. And instead, Golden Guardians Challengers could look towards Darkwings in this mid lane. Flash is available.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Winnie just looking to support Gamsu, but now has the move to be able to start this Rift Herald. And it means Array isn't going to be able to take too many plates for free in exchange. But the problem is Rosethorn is level 6 now.
Lynx using cleanse, diving away. They're trying to get on top of him, and then they successfully do so as they take him down with Winnie back towards the start. Instead, they peel off looking for Godzilla, who had to flash back towards the core. Gets locked down, double knockup as well. There's one kill on a Prismal. Gamsu still alive somehow as Concept had the flash away. The flash coming in from Darkwings, looking to take him down with the laser pointer. Just needs one more attack, waiting it out. Winnie gets on top of him, takes down another one, and somehow AOE are turning around the fight, but they gotta be careful. Rosethorn and Young are still healthy. The flash onto Winnie, trying to dive back. A kill for Young. What a chaotic fight between both squads.
And Golden Guardians still are coming out on top. The Rift Herald is delayed, and now it's GGC who can go take that objective. And it was a good look for AOE. Biggest thing, they start the Herald again, but that level 6 advantage isn't there. Props to Lynx for the instant cleanse, but the point is, Young was coming in here, level 8, has AP. As a squishy character, you're dead on his screen. There's nothing else you can do about it here. And at this point, even with the Viego reset, you had the numbers from the beginning, and this was only going to go one way.
Yeah, but gotta give a lot of props over to AOE for at least picking up some additional kills on top of this one. Getting gold into members that is perfect for them. A little bit of gold extra for Winnie, for Darkwings as well. Sure, Winnie does fall in the fight, but they're starting to get these members that are going to continue to scale up into this game. That additional gold to look to stay relatively even against Golden Guardians in the mid game.
So what really matters for me in that one is Darkwings getting the kill, because you get the upgraded laser, helps with wave clear, does make you harder to duel in the side lane because of the damage. But like, ultimately, like, this is just so big still for Golden Guardians. They got the Rift Herald, they aren't going to use it, but the fact that they've rotated Array and Prismal topside just means they get this turret plate gold naturally. And this Aphelios is so fed right now, got first blood, has the BT already. And it's already going to be so difficult to take Array out of this picture here. You have to rely as AOE on resets. Because right now, front to back, like 5v5, you don't have it. You're down almost 3k gold.
I was thinking that they have to rely on Gamsu, on Cho'Gath. Get it on top of Aphelios. Nom 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 nom.
Maybe, but it's hard. Like, you have a Thresh. You have a lot of people between you and Gamsu. That's the thing. This isn't a LeBlanc where you can just jump over walls and circumvent the front line. Wow.
Yeah, Death Sentence went wide. Prismal only level 5. It's kind of funny because he's been rotating around the map a lot, making sure to look for these plays instead of everyone else. This is also allowed, as you talked about, Array. He was able to farm up pretty well. Bot lane, he had it all by himself, was able to get 2 plates that he has all on his lonesome. Plus, he's level 8. That's a good start for an ADC that you're relying on. You talked about being fed. Sure, 1 kill doesn't look like he's fed, but he's got a lot of gold in his coffers.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing... Like, we're comparing CS against Skytech. He's more than 20 CS ahead of him. Yeah, but and he's the plate gold too. I know, but the point is, he's got a lead, which is important.
Disjointed fights on each side. Darkwings was the one they looked for initially, but this leaves Prismal completely out to dry. And now that you've lost your support, the engage, Golden Guardians Challengers getting corralled away from the pit.
So that's something AOE really happy about. You get one for yourself, and even you have Gamsu. Look what he's doing there. He's proxying on this bottom side as well.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, big fan. And ultimately, like, you're still in a good position as Golden Guardians, but these are the picks you need to be getting here. You force this Rift Herald in I mean, not so opportune spot. It's nice to get plates on the Akali, but you really wanted them on Array. That's a small win for
timing out, though.
Yeah, exactly.
They had to pop it. You want to, especially around dragon spawns, too. That's 2.5 minutes out. There's nowhere near enough time to utilize it perfectly. So as you said, getting some plates for Young, not quite optimal, but at least you're getting some gold into a carry.
And that is something. And 2-0 on top of it, getting really close to that rocket belt. I have Darkwings, Lynx, even Winnie. Like this Akali is so much kill threat on you now. And it's so hard. We talk about bypassing the front line, and that's what Young is trying to do in these team fights. That's what he's going to have the option to do. You got to use flanks. and things like that. Can't be jumping over walls necessarily unless you commit like your shuriken flip, but you still have options, especially with it being a hex map.
Lots of mobility.
Yeah.
Always going to be present on the map for both squads. After that first early fight, I mean, it almost seems perfectly encapsulating this game and the theme we have. That you have that early play that was all chaotic. It seemed like everyone was constantly piling back in. And now we have a Hex tech map where everyone's going to constantly be piling back in. And for these two teams, Golden Guardians Challengers AOE, they've got some camaraderie amongst the two. They shared, you know, not exactly shared a studio space, but they were in the same building for a while. And they've got close due to that fact. This is something I like to see from some of these professional teams with some of these challenger teams, kind of like Dignitas Challengers and Cincinnati Fear. They almost were like unofficial sister teams, just because they've worked well together. They're homies, exactly. They're the homie teams where they're just like, yeah, you know, respect that to you. And so for us to start off the playoffs for Golden Guardians Challengers and AOE to be the two that they're facing off against each other, you know, it's bittersweet. It's a great way to start off playoffs, but you better bet both teams would have wished to have met up later down in the line.
And it's interesting, like even the few times I've done interviews and content with like Winnie or Young, they're usually they're hanging out. They do it often because of course a lot of these teams are in LA, and it's pretty nice. It is a pretty nice thing to see. Even though they wish to see each other later, Magical, they are seeing each other here and now. And here and now, Golden Guardians, and they're taking control of this game. Not as explosive as what I was alluding to in Champ Selector, even in the pregame, which is good because that tells me we're getting our 3-game banger, but it's still been pretty convincing for Golden Guardians so far. And as time goes on, Array is still going to be that big problem to be dealing with, especially as Golden Guardians continue to stack to a Dragon Soul.
We are also looking at them up against an AoE composition that wants to scale. That, sure, they're slightly behind gold, but as long as they can mitigate any losses and continue to have this game go longer and longer, they'll become stronger and stronger at every single minute.
Yeah, the big thing with that, though, is that's true if you're even or only slightly behind. So that's what AoE need to do.
Right.
Get some more gold back into their pocket.
That's what I was saying. Mitigate the losses.
Yeah, and it starts with the Rift Herald. And you see Winnie clearing out vision, pressuring so Gamsu can take out this turret. There is going to be an opening to go for this Rift Herald, but Golden Guardians aren't even going to let that happen. You see most of them on this top side. Even Young is on the move, transitioning through mid lane to ensure they get this neutral too.
Winnie knows that they're on top of Rift Herald. Seems that they're not making any moves for it. They know that they're slightly behind. They haven't been able to spend the gold exactly as necessary. Too many members are already corralled up. They'll see it over the neutral objective. That's the 4th one of the game, picked up by Golden Guardians Challengers. And kind of as you talked about, where you look at AoE, you got to mitigate these losses. But Golden Guardians Challengers have made sure that they're constantly getting the upper hand on each play. They're just one step ahead of AoE at every possible moment.
And it helps because they're in a really strong position. Like, the mythics are all coming through. These are all the points where these champions are really strong. Array is going to be even stronger once that Infinity Edge comes through. And that's the thing that's so brutal. I mean, Lynx, the thing with Senna support, you build a support item and you just build up gold naturally as much as you can. Remember, the Spectral Sickle did get nerfed, so you are generating gold a little slower than before. And on top of that, I mean, Array is getting gold the old-fashioned way, so reaching those crucial spikes as Lynx is really tough, because you're waiting another 10 minutes before he's really going to start doing damage.
Uh-oh. When he took the Hex Gate, brought it out, Pyrostorm thought he was going to be in a lot more danger, but had it not been for Skytech, he certainly was.
And I like how Golden Guardians keeping up the pressure all across the board, taking down these outer tier 1s. Getting these waves pushed in is going to give them that opportunity to take the mid-tier 1, which will really break open the map. But they're actually going to use.
They're not looking for that. They're just looking for the tier 2 top lane. More gold picked up, 4 members nearby. You'd love to see it mostly given over to someone like Array, but you'll take a whole charge onto that tier 2. No gold spread around. They don't have to worry about it, so they can reset later on. Maybe send Young to get solo turret gold. And all the while, Gamsu, he answers back on the map with another structured topple.
So we're at 2 apiece, 4 turrets, because Gomsu's actually gotten both the top and bot tier 1 as well. But it's still not ideal for AOE esports. You're waiting for what looks like the Blade of the Rune King there, 4 links. It will be a nice item to pick up on this Senna, but you're still waiting for more. The only one who is a good chunk of gold in his pocket is Gomsu, and that's cool because, you know, being a tank means you're beefier, but if you're lacking on damage, you're still going to lose out to Golden Guardians, especially when, again, Young can bypass the front line.
Skytech spotted out, flashing over away from the shuriken flip. Beautiful play to make sure that he disengages from Golden Guardians challengers, but he will be sans that flash later on.
Right, and I mean, at least he still has the Devour for these team fights, but it is a good find. Golden Guardians. They keep the pressure up topside. We're probably not going to see an early Baron, but keeping control of topside is important for that overall. That's why they have Concept just keeping this bottom side pushed out all by his lonesome, while Young and the rest of the team are closer towards the Baron. You can even see it, at least in the river and that top tri-brush. They have all this vision set up as well, just to keep control there.
This game, it might seem slow, you know. Well, it is slow.
I was gonna say
it is playoffs. It is playoffs. There's so much on the line for these teams. Not only we talked about the camaraderie between both sides, so obviously they would love to beat the other, but then we talked about Young versus his old teammates in pretty much everyone besides Darkwings at some point in his career. How much that's got to mean to him to be able to beat these players that he'd played so many games with, and then also vice versa for these players who didn't get that promotion like Young did to a challenger squad. There's a lot riding on this to take down their former teammate and say, we deserve a spot on challengers teams as well. But that's why they're playing it passively. They're waiting it out, not looking for those risky plays like we know that Winnie tends to do. So they got scaling. They also want to make sure they're not throwing away any leads, having this game end before they actually come online.
And so far, it's just been a steady lead for Golden Guardians this whole time. But the problem is, the AoE in this stalemate do not benefit at all. We see the Bork come through for links, which is nice, but ultimately, consistently being behind, you're going to keep losing out on these objectives, is going to lead to an eventual loss. And they're going to lose another dragon. I like that they at least understand and are trying to take away camps topside, keep this top lane pushed in, maybe threaten the turret, but if you see, Golden Guardians aren't going to let that happen. This is brutal. AoE are a team where a lot of their success has come from their decisiveness. And in this game, very few decisions really have been made. It's just been avoiding conflict. And they're just playing the waiting game, which makes sense given their comp and what they want to do, but it's going to make things very difficult for them, because what's going to happen if you keep losing when the Dragon Soul comes through? If Darkwings isn't at 2 items, if Winnie doesn't get that second, parts way to the 3rd item, how are you going to fight for the Dragon Soul?
Especially with how powerful this soul would be for Young and Array, slowing down targets even more so. They can for Array, he can constantly stay on top of them, make sure that he kites them back, never is really in that much danger. And then for Young, where nobody can escape once the shuriken flip hits, the slow you're going to get from that will allow Young to immediately blow you up before you can even try to move away.
He has so much mobility. It's so... Oh, no.
Yeah. Okay. That was looking a little dicey for a second.
That's like a full send insta-death kind of angle. Like, you're 5 levels down. But...
Your support Senna.
Yeah, that's just how it is. At least you have an item here for links, but not much to show for it yet. Team fighting, still going to be very difficult. In fact, they're at a point where Golden Guardians can start the Baron. There's literally one ward that they have to be worrying about. They have the ability to turn and play for the team fight. It's just
but
simple.
The thing is, they got to wait for the guns out of Array. That's the bigger thing. Before they can really look for that, you want that red-white. It's a lot faster for you to burn down the objective, where if AoE aren't perfectly on top of it themselves, they'll be gone before they know it.
We'll say you really only need white to do it, but he has neither of those, to be fair.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big thing now, though.
Glacial Prison going wide. Could re-engage. for a ray, but look at Young. Looking for the back line, looking for Winnie. And the choo-choo train gets the knock-up. Huge play from Concept into the back line so they can take down Darkwings. Looking for Godzilla, but he gets one knock before he dies. Kiting away, Rose Lord on top of him, but you gotta be careful. Cho'Gath is a beefy boy, and now Young on the other side wants to get into this back line. On to Winnie. The shield from SkyTech keeps him alive a little bit longer. Only get a little bit of damage back from Lynx, and all the while, Gomsu's still alive. He's still kiting away from Rosethorn, and no longer can Rosethorn continue to chase that.
Yeah, he's gonna die if he does. Like, he has to back away. That was something for the side of Golden Guardians. The big thing though is, he doesn't realize they're not even chasing him anymore. That's
it's understandable.
It's safety.
You don't want to risk it. You don't want to risk it, and that's a perfect play for AOE. Sure?
Perfect.
Hold on. It's a perfect play as not like how they went about it. Perfect play in the results. They trade 1-for-1 and deny Golden Guardians from getting on top of the Baron afterwards.
Yeah, so you see the Glacial Prison goes wide from Rosethorn. Realistically, like, you have Concept coming through, Young coming through. Oh, hold on.
Nice cleanse.
Wow.
Keep going, keep going.
No, at the end of the day, the play ends up going well. Gomsu gets the kill, which makes him, he's going to be able to get beefier. He got it with the feast and everything. But realistically, you're still under the same threat as Lynx, SkyTech, and Darkwings. And that's why these team fights are still going to be really hard for AOE. Like, they can just go and start the Baron now. They're just waiting for someone on AOE's side to think they're starting it. Look at Young. He's even playing in Fog. If he gets the wraparound and gets on top of Lynx, he could kill Winnie right now.
Winnie did spot him. And Winnie has gone for the Kraken Slayer build. It'll be the true 80 carry for the team. This game lives or dies by Winnie. This has been the mantra of AOE this whole split. With Winnie getting tagged by Death Sentence, it's been bad as Young. He really wants to kill Winnie. He's looking for that play. Does he dive in with the shuriken flip? He holds off.
It forces him out. When he was looking to clear out the pink ward, doesn't get the opportunity. And now Golden Guardians, they have a big decision here where they can just go ahead, secure that Dragon Soul, but do they want AOE to just turn and go for the Baron?
Hold, looking for that damage.
Oh, nice ulti.
Darkwing, he's gonna die eventually, or is he? He was devoured.
He's not.
There it is. They've got the dive into the back line from Young, but he's feasted upon by Gomsu. 2-for-2 trade, make it 3-for-2 in favor of Golden Guardians because Gomsu no longer has that feast to make sure they can take down members of Golden Guardian.
And that means you win the fight as Golden Guardians. You get the soul, you can set up for the Baron, and this is them just breaking the game wide open because now they have the permanent buff. And AOE haven't been able to really try anything this game, now have to try for the Elder Dragon in 6 minutes.
Perfect plays from Golden Guardians. The target selection, all 3 members that died of AOE were carries. You can make an argument, sure, the Senna is support Senna, but still provides damage. You got Winnie, you got Darkwings, and now you start up the Baron. Even if Darkwings has TP, get back into mid lane. There's going to be the TP answered by Young. 50% on the Baron with the flash away from SkyTech. Choo-choo train connecting onto the Catfish. With the shield, he's pretty thick, but not thick enough to survive from the Assassin's Slung. Looks for the backline. They've taken out Lynx, and with the Twilight Shroud helping out, they can get on top of Darkwings as well. Golden Guardians finding the fights they need to get Winnie to go golden. Even if Gomsu does trade 1 back, 2 back.
Oh, no wait, the resets,
He's turning it around. It's Godzilla, baby! Gomsu, playoff buffs always come through, and they somehow turn the fight on its head.
Gomsu's too big to be beaten. They almost get the ace. And AOE, they're going to get the Baron. This is their way back in the game. They're going to tie up the gold lead. It's playoff Gomsu happened. He was untouched throughout most of that fight. Concept is teleporting, but I don't know how much he's going to be able to do.
Neither do I. You looked inside the pit, spots out. Gomsu about to have that feast back up to devour and get more stacks. 11 stacks on Cho'Gath. 5, 1, and 2. Playoff Gomsu is here to reclaim his glory days.
And AOE get a gold lead for the first time here in Game 1, finally managing to equalize. We see 2 items and change for Darkwings and Winnie, and you can see the gold lead really start to narrow. Array is still way ahead of the curve, and as we kind of set up for Golden Guardians overall, and I just mean that, like, if you compare him to everyone besides Gamsu, he's got a lead.
There we go.
Because Gamsu is 13,000, which is unreal. He is a big part of this lead that AOE have right now, and Golden Guardians still have ways to circumvent him.
They're trying so much. Look at this. The death sentence pulled from Prismal.
You just keep throwing
putting
it.
so much attention on Gamsu, but Winnie
There we
really
go.
the target they got to look for as Darkwings is on the other side. He's only able to get pittance of damage onto Golden Guardians members while the rest of AOE has to kite back. Be careful. They don't know where Young is. They don't realize he's far away from them.
So they're being careful. You have the Baron buff. You just want to take these camps. You want to push this top wave, and that's more gold. Knocking down these structures is really important. And I like that Golden Guardians are immediately going to answer too. You have Concept who's watching to make sure they don't go too far, but you get a tier 2 for it. Not even a tier 2. AOE, they're backing off fully.
They should be able to get
okay, they're going to stay.
Darkwings
No, I saw Darkwings recalling, so I didn't understand.
Too. Oh, no. Oh, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have Baron Puff. That's why.
Oh.
He was one of the members. He was the only member that was
right.
still dead by the time they finished it off.
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal. Would have been a big difference maker there. It's still a lot of gold for AOE, and this is the comeback they needed. And I mean, it was 30 minutes. It's kind of late, but if this Elder Dragon comes through and they still maintain this control, this is AOE potentially being able to win the game. If Lynx gets to that second item, if we see more itemization come through on the rest of AOE side, it's actually super playable now.
I mean, I'm always impressed by Gamsu. The buff he gets at playoffs every single time. And the rest of AoE can fall back and just say, you know what, lead the charge, Gamsu. We'll do the damage for you if need be. But all you have to do is be the beefy boy who stands in front of all of us and make sure that we don't get assassinated by a colleague.
And I mean, Golden Guardians, they picked the Scion when this Cho'Gath was up, being convinced that it was going to be going into Skytech's hands on the bottom side. And it took a while, but it's looking like they are paying for that decision. As now AoE, the Baron expiring in a couple seconds. I mean, they've gotten the map in a pretty good position. You have Gamsu with Teleport, who's going to push out this top side and just teleport to the Dragon play. This is big for AoE because if they 50-50, they have Feast. So they actually are super favored when it comes to the smite fight. That's why Golden Guardians have to make a play like this.
Nice CP from Young. He'll get there before Gamsu's completed his CP, and he catches the Glacial Prison as Lynx gets jumped on by Young with the shields helped out, diving away. All this attention on his Skytech. The Catfish has been noodled, and they gotta be careful. Even though Gamsu's got this huge shield and huge card to deal with, they continue to kite him back, try to pull in the members they can. As Darkwings is very low, no longer gonna have that reliable source of damage they can fall back to.
Golden Guardians, they know they have to keep the pressure on. They know they have to be proactive. And they keep looking for plays right before these huge objectives comes up. Skytech won't be available. When it spawns, he will have the teleport. So they were hoping for more. And keep an eye on them to try something. Again, they have that vision they set on that bottom side of the map. They have the ping on that bottom side. Could easily see teleports come through. And that focus with the Hex Gates moving towards this bottom side of the map. They need the setup. They need to blow somebody up quickly. They can't do this front to back 5v5 anymore.
Really looking to get these huge summoner spells out of AoE so they can continue to harass the backline. But now that all 5 members of both squads are around the Elder Dragon, Young is the one marked that they kind of back and look to see if they can get on top of him. But he's being very cautious about this. He knows he has that Hex Gate that he can jump into, get back towards his team, even if Darkwings is trying to hunt him down and keep him away from getting towards Lynx, getting towards himself. It is Golden Guardians Challengers ready to strike, waiting for their moment as AoE have both their frontliners in front of everybody, waiting to see when Young is going to be spotted out, because that's going to be the trigger pull. But 50% onto Elder. AoE, you got to be careful on this fight because now it's reset and Golden Guardians still are pretty healthy. Waiting for anything to happen here, Beat. The
AoE, they're rushing it.
They are rushing it 50% now, but look at Guardians. They've got Young, and they
Oh, he's going in!
But he was devoured, and Young on top of Darkwings looks for the perfect execution. Might be enough as Winnie comes back out of stasis, and he'll fall. Double kill for Array. Golden Guardians Challengers have found their fight back into the game.
And that's all they needed, Magical. They're going to make sure they ace AOE, and they could just end the game here. And now, oh my God.
He tried.
No, they got
It was
him.
close. He tried, but like you said, they're going to end the game. Elder Dragon will be secured. Gomsu being dead, the one member they could fall back onto, means this game will officially be Golden Guardians Challengers once they get the ace.
And that's brutal. This is going to be Baron on top of it to secure things, but such a well-done fight from Golden Guardians, especially Young, finding that angle constantly throughout that whole exchange, looking for angles, jumping over walls. Every time they forced him out, he looks for another spot, and that set it up perfectly for Golden Guardians. And we're going to see it here in this replay. I mean, look at Young. He's just been all over the place. The front to back keeping Array healthy is what's so important. And as soon as Young gets the opening, he just full sends. Devour is out, but Lynx is no longer in the fight. All he has is the Dawning Shadows, but Array is just chunking everybody. Look at that damage. He never loses his overheal or Bloodthirster shield. He has just been so healthy the whole fight.
They all focused their attention onto Young because Young was purposely being the one they wanted him to mark. Golden Guardians relied on the Akali getting the attention to get Array to free fire on everybody. And now, 4 items in with a stopwatch on top of Array, this has begun from a game where it's falling on the back of an Akali to say, all right, Aphelios, you've reached late game.
And Array has a stopwatch now too. He's at 4 items. We still have a minute left on this Elder Dragon. Golden Guardians, yeah, they're trying to play for the 2 lanes right now. They can just look to end this game right now. They have the Baron, AOE. They're trying to keep this mid lane pushed so that Young can't threaten the turret. But yeah, exactly. Like, they're just threatening the end.
Okay, that's going to be the rupture. They can't even cut through the shield of Array. They tried.
Oh, nice lantern.
On Rosethorn, but nobody can stand up to them. And Array damage inside the base with the Elder for the quadra kill. Gomsu hanging out in the base, not wanting to give it, but Golden Guardian Challengers, they would have liked to had it not been for the fact that he's a beefy boy. With the quadra kill, game 1 goes to Golden Guardians Challengers.
And wow, it was a tight one, Magical. 36 minutes, what we were hoping for from these teams, but really nice from Golden Guardians. For the most part, they played that game really well, setting up, basically they knew they had to pull the trigger before every objective fight, and that's why they were constantly looking for these angles, and that's what ended up winning them the game.
And even though Gomsu with the playoff buffs, you know, he tried valiantly on Cho'Gath. There's only so much you could do when you get kited back like that, when there's the Hex Tech Soul on the other side, too, to make it that much more difficult for you to get on top of Array. Well played by Golden Guardians Challengers to take game 1. We're going to toss it to a break, and when we come back, we'll bring back Grapes so that we can have our halftime or third time show. We'll see after the halftime show. You'll get it.